Hello and happy Saturday. My name is Nick Marro. I'm once again here with Occupy Fantasy. You can find me on Twitter at Nick Marro DFS. And once again, I'm here to help you break down tonight's NBA slate on both DraftKings and FanDuel. We're looking at 7 games tonight. Bit smaller and more manageable of a slate than what we dealt with yesterday. And if you're not already a member at Occupy Fantasy, I highly recommend you join. For late breaking news and how to process it, we have a Discord channel. We'll be answering questions in a voice channel live 30 minutes leading into lock. We have the amazing NBA model you see here, a lineup builder, injury reports, betting odds, everything you need to have success at NBA DFS. And in 2022, if you're not a member of a site, you're not part of a team like this, it's usually very difficult to win on a consistent basis. We just saw an insane amount of news breaking throughout the day yesterday. The Warriors ruled everybody out, so there was almost infinite value coming from that team. We saw Jaylen Brown ruled out and then back in. Embiid was ruled out very late in the day, and yeah, we had a solid night all around. I know personally I profited on both sites yesterday. Yeah, it's really just a testament to the tools and the people we have over at Occupy Fantasy. If you could, please click like, please click subscribe. That really helps us to get more of these videos out, more content to you guys, and it lets the YouTube algorithm know that you like what you're getting from us, which is definitely helpful and inspiring. Yeah. So it's a Saturday morning here. We got 7 games to talk through. There are some key injuries to discuss. So we'll go quickly game by game. I think it's going to be easier to go injury by injury. So maybe I'll handle it that way. Um, First and foremost, once again, Kyrie Irving is out with the suspension. This isn't really an injury. This is just him kind of being stupid. But if you look at Brooklyn here, it looks like Ben Simmons is going to be out again. They still don't have TJ Warren back, and they've been slow bringing back Seth Curry. So what does this mean? This means that we're going to be looking at Kevin Durant once again as an excellent pay up on both sides. He's 10-6 on both sites. So yeah, I mean, when you're comparing him to a Giannis or a Jokic, you're getting a bit of a discount. And he showed yesterday. I mean, the Nets blew the Wizards out, and he's still got nearly 60 fantasy points on both sides. So KD's once again where I'm going to be starting most of my builds. If we're talking about value from Brooklyn, Edmund Sumner looked pretty good here. His price has come up a bit, but if he's going to be starting at point guard, I think you could give him a good look. Royce O'Neal's looked great, somewhat surprisingly on the offensive end. Always a good defender, but we're seeing a lot more production out of him, not only from three, but kind of in the paint as well this season, which is a nice thing to see as a Nets fan. But yeah, we're getting him at a decent price, 5,500 on DraftKings. 5,400 on FanDuel. I mean, if this game's going to stay close, and I expect it will, he could be a really solid mid-range value play. Nicholas Claxton as well with Ben Simmons out. We've seen Ben Simmons playing more center this season. So whenever Ben's going to be out, we get more run out of Claxton, who's been pretty solid. Pretty good game last night. Obviously in the blowout, he had limited minutes. Let's see, it's loading slowly here. But yeah, he's been consistently hitting value. He got to nearly 40 fantasy points in just 28 minutes. 18 points, 9 rebounds. And yeah, we saw Steven Adams smash the Charlotte front court, so it's safe to assume that Claxton could put up a nice game here. So yeah, I really do like Nets right now. And it not only is there opportunity created by injury, but we're going to see this is one of the higher total games on the slate. Nice close 5-point spread. Nets are favored on the road. 223 point total. So yeah, that's a solid game environment. This game right here, Sacramento at Orlando, is not on the main slate, so we're not going to discuss that at all today. But yeah, definitely start your build with some Nets tonight. I think it's probably one of the safer places to go for value. And I love KD up top. So moving right along, we have Embiid's in the injury report. He's not going to be on the slate. But opposite the Nets, we have the Charlotte Hornets. It looks like LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, and Terry Rozier once again all going to be out. To me, this is Kelly Oubre's boost most out of these starters. Pretty sure he had a decent game last night. Not sure he hit value. Yeah, only 23 points in 24 minutes. Memphis kind of blew them out. It wasn't really close. I think they'll be more competitive tonight, so maybe go back to Oubre. People are probably not going to want to click him after that performance. I don't mind Plumlee as a value. The bust of the day was Jalen McDaniels. He was very popular on both sites. Really rough game, but I mean, if he's going to start, I think you could go back there. And this is another instance of you need to have a short memory in NBA DFS. The field's not going to want to play him after a night like last night. But that's the perfect time to get some exposure. PJ Washington's kind of a better version of Jalen McDaniels in layman's terms, but I do like PJ Washington a lot here. And then let's see, just clicking through, seeing which value guys are popping. You can also sort our model by value and see who's popping up top. We have it McDaniels and Oubre right up there. Sumner, who we recently discussed. PJ Washington. So really, I mean, a lot of your exposure is going to come in this early game. I'm sure we get more news throughout the day. But yeah, don't be shy to play some Hornets and some Nets tonight. Really good game environment. Both teams have really poor defenses, and they both like to play in transition, which definitely caters to us DFS players. So I'll have a lot of exposure to that one. Let's see here. The next game on the slate. Let's see the order DraftKings has them in. Boston at New York. So yesterday, Jaylen Brown was sick and he was announced as questionable last second. He ended up playing. If he's out, obviously that's a huge boost for Tatum. Still no Robert Williams for the Celtics. Al Horford hasn't necessarily been consistently hitting value the way we'd expect him to, but he's still cheap enough to consider, especially on FanDuel at 5,500. Taking a look over on DraftKings at what we're getting him at 5,300. So his prices continue to come down. I definitely think you could look to Al Horford here as kind of a forward center hybrid. It's tough to give up those center spots, but I do think Horford's someone you can consider. And the main reason for that is the Knicks have an injury of their own. Mitchell Robinson left the game last night hurt. Which is obviously rough to see, but that's going to open up a lot of minutes and usage for Isaiah Hartenstein as the backup center. Hartenstein's arguably been the better center to start the season. Oddly enough, he's only power forward eligible on FanDuel, but I do think he's going to be one of the better plays on the slate, assuming Mitchell Robinson is out. Let's see if the injury report has him out as it stands. Um, I didn't watch that game closely, but I do expect that we're going to have Hartenstein as a value play everywhere. So yeah, just keep an eye on that. If Robinson's somehow better than we thought in terms of health, then maybe we don't get the Hartenstein value, but I really do like him here. Um, what else? What else? Yeah, Julius Randle's an okay play up top. Same with Jalen Brunson. Just kind of price appropriately. RJ Barrett's looked a little bit better. We did see Quentin Grimes get the nod last night. He's minimum price on DK. He really didn't factor into anything of relevance, though. So if we see Quickly start instead of Grimes, I would have interest in Emmanuel Quickly, but it seems like it's going to be Grimes. So really not much from the Knicks I like other than Hartenstein. And then on the Boston side, I mean, obviously Tatum looks good on any slate, but there's really no pay up we have to chase. So moving into the next game, we have the New Orleans Pelicans. And they look as healthy as they have all season. Pretty much every day so far that they've been on the slate, we've seen a lot of these guys questionable. Today we're just looking at Little and Lewis, so I think you can look at Zion. I think you can look at McCollum. I think you can look at Ingram. Ingram's still kind of working his way back from an injury. He did look good last night. Um, yeah, 41 fantasy points in 36 minutes. He's kind of the most consistent of that big three. Zion certainly has the highest ceiling. McCollum, solid guard play. A little bit priced up from where I'd like to play him. I think his price is kind of reflective of Ingram being out earlier in the season, at least on FanDuel it is. And then, yeah, 8,600, not crazy about that on DK. You could look at Joval. He's an okay center play. But really, I'm not crazy about the Pelicans outside of that big three, and I don't know that I want any of our. I think I only want one of those big three in most lineups. It's tough to see two of them hit a ceiling game. It is possible on a smaller slate like this. It's certainly something we could see, but yeah, I think I'd just pick one of the three if I'm building. Um, And then on the other side, we have big news. It looks like Trae Young is questionable. Um, he has an eye injury, which is tricky because most of the time guys can play. They put a mask on, they put an eye patch on even. Um, but yeah, if Trey's going to be out, that's going to be a huge boost to DeJounte Murray, who's already looked really, really good. Um, so yeah, keep an eye on that. No pun intended. I do like Murray here, regardless. I think he's a solid play. John Collins, decent play. He's been fine. Clint Capella, another good option. If Okongwu's out, he's been questionable most days. I don't think he's on the injury report right now, but keep an eye on that. If he's out, that means more minutes for Capella, and Capella's been good. It's just the minutes haven't been there consistently. So yeah, and the big news here is Trae Young. If Trae's out, I really like DeJounte Murray. I like Murray anyway, but Murray would be one of the best pay-ups on the slate if Trae does indeed sit. So moving into the next game, we have Houston at Minnesota. I guess I am kind of going game by game. I'll try to keep this quick. Um, I don't know that there are any injuries in this one. It's Minnesota. FanDuel's order is slightly different than DraftKings. I'll kind of bounce between the two. But yeah, really no major injuries from this game. Gobert was questionable going into yesterday. It looks like he's fine. Um, You could play Anthony Edwards, you could play Gobert, Towns. Any of those guys on Minnesota are fine. Really no one I'm rushing to get to. Jalen Noel was a fun value play earlier in the season, but his price is up on both sites now, so he's not someone I'm prioritizing. And we'll take a look at Houston on FanDuel, so I'll kind of bounce between the two. Um, no real injuries for Houston. I think Alperen Sengun, even in a tough matchup against these two big guys, he's going to put up decent numbers. I love the 6,500 price tag on FanDuel. 63 on DK looks good here as well. Tricky spot with Gobert there. Um, but yeah, Sengun's shown he can put up numbers against pretty much anyone. And Jalen Green looks good. Kevin Porter looks good. I don't know that I'd want these two guys in the same lineup. Um, but yeah, I think this is a fine game. We'll take a quick look at the odds here. I imagine they're close. 231 point total, really high total. Good game environments to target for DFS. And then Minnesota's an 8.5 point favorite at home, but they've been struggling. So I do consider this to be a likely competitive game. Definitely like Houston and Minnesota plays here, but really they're not priorities. Moving into the next game, we have Oklahoma City at Milwaukee. Tricky spot, but yeah, on most days I'd say maybe there's some blowout risk here. Giannis was questionable most of the day. He's not on the injury report now. Obviously, if he's out, we have to look to Drew Holiday, Brook Lopez, Bobby Portis. I'm just going to assume he's in. And with Milwaukee being on the back-to-back, OKC coming off a day of rest, this should be a competitive game. Giannis is a great play anywhere you can afford him. Um, but yeah, at the same time, I mean, you could go more balanced build if you already have KD in there. You could kind of play some of those 8-9K guys. If Trey is out, I'd rather get to DeJounte Murray before I rush to Giannis, even though it is an excellent matchup. And it looks like Poku's out for the Thunder, but they just got Josh Giddey back. So let's see. Check this injury report. Make sure we got the right teams here. Yeah, I guess there's no one on OKC that's on the injury report right now. So yeah, Gilgeous-Alexander will probably be a little bit lower owned than he should. I do really like Giannis. Drew's put up some great games so far this season with Middleton out. Portis and Lopez are fine as secondary plays. And then yeah, I mean even some of this guard value we're seeing. Javon Carter when he starts, he can push 20 fantasy points. So again, not a game we're prioritizing necessarily, but certainly a spot you can take a look at. Moving right along into Denver and San Antonio. Yeah, pretty healthy slate today, it seems. It looks like Bones Highland is indeed a game time decision. If he's out, that would be a boost to Bruce Brown. KCP, Jamal Murray, still a little bit cheap for their upsides, but some risk. Langford is out for the Spurs. I don't know that that's a huge needle mover. But yeah, it's the usual suspects for the Spurs. They did just get Devin Vassell back, which kind of flattens out those usage rates. So I'm not as eager to get to guys like Trey Jones or Keldon Johnson, but they're still decent plays. Jokic, whenever you can afford him, he's one of the best plays on the slate. I'd love to fit him here. You're probably not going to fit Giannis, KD, and Joker in the same lineup, but he's someone to consider. And yeah, you kind of get a guy in one of the later games. So if there is late news, you do have the opportunity to pivot. I'll take a quick look at the odds. 11-point favorites at home for Denver. So yeah, if there is a game maybe with blowout risk, it could be this one. Um, I don't know. I don't think they'll necessarily be a blowout here. I do like Joker. Michael Porter, Aaron Gordon have both been really solid plays. And yeah, I mean, I initially intended to just go injury for injury, but I'm kind of talking through my favorite plays as well, guys. To keep this quick. Once again, please click the like button. Please subscribe if you're enjoying the content. And if you're not a member at Occupy Fantasy, sign up. There's plenty of links below, and we have expert analysis in there. One-on-one advice will help coach you through not only building your lineups, but contest selection and everything else that comes with winning in DFS. So yeah, let's get into this last game. And yeah, just to sum that up, guys, I know I kind of glazed over it. The Spurs are tougher to get to now. I do still like Jakob Poeltl, but with the sellback, again, the usage is flattened. I love Joker here. I do like Gordon and Porter, but I'm not prioritizing either. I spent a lot of time in FanDuel these last few games, so let's go back over to DraftKings. We got Phoenix hosting Portland. This was surprising last night. I thought the Suns could maybe blow out Portland with Anthony Simons out. It turned out to be a really close game. We saw Cam Johnson leave the arena on crutches, which is obviously terrible to see. With him out, that could be more usage for guys like Mikal Bridges, these secondary plays. Campaign was out yesterday as well. So yeah, it's Booker and Paul for me. I think they're both solid here. I'd rather play Chris Paul at a bit of a discount, but Booker obviously has the higher ceiling. And then yeah, the big thing with Portland is Anthony Simons. Is he in? Is he out? Obviously, Dame's already out for these guys. So if Simons is in, he's a really strong play. It's a tough defensive matchup, but they showed last night they can hang with him. If Simons is out, I think my favorite play is once again going to be Justice Winslow. We saw him go off last night. Point forward, yeah, he's a forward, but he's going to be playing point guard with the two best point guards for Portland out, if they are indeed out. So I'm pushed 40 fantasy points last night, which is almost 8x his salary on both sides. So love me some Winslow here. Shady on Sharp looked really good. Maybe they limit him a bit on the back-to-back. We saw him play 28 minutes last night. I'd love to see him get over 30. The fantasy points weren't really there. Very scoring dependent, but he's a guy I do like. Who else? Keon Johnson, he did see decent run. Pushed 20 fantasy points. He's okay as a punt play. Only if Simons is out, though. I'm really not looking there otherwise. And then the centers. I mean, we got Nurkic, we got Ayton, both decent plays. So again, we got some news to keep an eye on there with Anthony Simons. If he's in, he's a good play. If he's out, we can kind of look to all the other starters, namely Justice Winslow, Shady on Sharp, Keon Johnson, and Nurkic does a lot of ball handling as well. So yeah, guys, I kind of ripped through the injuries there. Let me just see if anything huge is popping. Cleveland's in the report for some reason, but they're not on the slate. So let's take a look over at the model. We sort by OF index, which kind of weighs upside with price. It definitely weighs upside a little bit heavier. We got Giannis, Durant, Tatum at the top. No surprises there. Nurkic is at the top. That's kind of under the assumption that Anthony Simons is going to be out. But yeah, I'm starting most lineups with Durant. And then if Trae Young's out, I think I'm going to DeJounte Murray. But yeah, if you can afford Giannis, you can afford Joker, certainly feel free to do so. Quick look at value. We got the Charlotte guys. We got the Brooklyn guys. Edmund Sumner. I mean, it was cool to see he even played in blowout run last night. Not the highest usage rate, but he's someone we're going to be taking a look at. And no one's going to want to play Jalen McDaniels today. Do you have the stomach for it? I'm not sure I do. But yeah, his ownership's going to be a lot lower than it was. And I mean, we're getting an early look at ownership here. These numbers will update as the day kind of progresses. But it looks like he's one of the highest owned players right now. And yeah, Shady on Sharp if he starts again. Didn't do great yesterday, so it's another case of recency bias. Maybe we see people come off him. But if Simons is out, I'm going to be playing a lot of Justice Winslow. So yeah, really fun 7-game slate. These are some of the better slates, I think. When you have like 12, 13 games, it's really tough to cover everything. When you have only 2 or 3, the margin for error is very, very slim. So I do think this is a sweet spot. One more guy I want to touch on quickly is Josh Hart. Yeah, Simons is out. He's going to see more usage. He's pretty inconsistent. He's not always shooting the ball, but they may need him on offense more. So just keep him in mind. Let's see. Anything else I need to touch on? Yeah, Kevin Durant's probably my favorite play on the slate. No surprise there. And then, yeah, I do like Kelly Oubre a lot. That game's going to be tough not to target heavily. Once again, guys, thank you for your time this morning. Really appreciate you tuning in. Please click that like button. Please click the subscribe button. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Someone from Occupy will get to you. And yeah, join, become a member if you're not already. We have the model, we have the injury reports, we have the lineup builder, we have expert one-on-one advice. And it's a long season, it's a grind, but this is definitely one of the best sports to play for DFS. And we're looking forward to another successful season. Thanks, everyone. Happy Saturday. Have a great day, and let's make some money tonight.